confirms over and over again the Turkish position of denial.
He doesn't know what genocide means. The argument is wrong that he is making. Racism is an important factor in Holocaust, but racism is not a precondition that genocide occurs. It could be nationalism, it could be religion, whatever motivation is there, it could be national security. If you read the 1948 genocide definition very clearly, you will see that the lawmakers explicitly exclude the content of motivation. We don't care what are the reasons of the decision maker on which ground they decided to exterminate the other group. In case of Armenians, I think it's good advice for our ambassador in Washington to read Turkish politicians of the period. For example, just an example, 1917, December, Cemal Pasha in Berlin gave an interview to a group of German Protestant representatives, and he clearly tells to these individuals that Ottoman government persecuted Armenians not because they are Christians, but because they are Armenians. Only because their Armenianness was a problem for Ottoman government, and whether or not Ottoman government had an intent to exterminate the Armenians, we have enough evidence now on that question. Ottoman archives today full of materials, original documents. I'm going to talk tomorrow on that topic also.
You know, you can just imagine the speed at which such a letter has been disseminated in the Armenian community and the frustration it brings. And how can you understand the Armenian position of people who are frustrated after almost over 100 years trying to prove their case and faced by denialists? What is a response, a expected or a humanitarian response of an Armenian to letters such as these?
It's very difficult for me to answer, but my really suggestion is to ignore. Denialism is not anymore so important in the ideological sense. Whatever we do, they will continue to deny the historic facts, and we can only politically fight them. This means we should extend the group of governments and individuals and civil society to accept the historical fact of genocide.
You know, when you speak about ignore, it doesn't come very easily for Armenians who have suffered 100 years of this experience. And we can also ignore the genocide. And now if it is not genocide, it is historicide. So we can ignore everything around us, and yet the world opinion matters to the eventual conclusion of this issue. So they started with genocide, and I personally think, and I'm sure you would agree, it's historicide that they're pushing, and I personally cannot see us ignoring this. But what can be the response? You would talk to us about dialogue, you would tell us to be patient, you would tell us we are coming with research. Where is this going to end?
The answer is a political answer. As long as Turkey is going to get support from United States government, from Great Britain and Israel, I don't think that we can achieve much. We have to be very realistic. The world today works on the ground of interests and realpolitik. Turkey is a very strong country, has a very strong United States, Great Britain had very strong real interest in the region, and they need Turkey. The major question is how we can change United States or the international community's position towards Turkey. This is one strand that we have to work. And the second important part, how we can encourage those individuals in Turkey who are fighting for a change from inside of the Turkey. So only a combination from inside and outside can achieve a change in Turkish government's policy. I am not so optimistic in that regard. There is no indications at this very moment that shows us that United States, for example, plans to change its policy. But we have to continue to fight. What is the alternative if we don't fight against denialism? This is the most important thing. This is my position on that issue.
You know, last week we listened to Kamil Yalchin, who was at Fairlawn St. Leon Armenian Church, and you will be there tomorrow night. And the message is a dialogue, Turkish-Armenian dialogue. And I think, what about Turkey dialogue, Turkish-Turkey dialogue, like you scholars to the Turkish government? Is there such a thing that could happen? Is this a realistic expectation as opposed to Armenian-Turkish dialogue? Why not Turkey-Turkey dialogue?
Dialogue is not a term that actually satisfies our desires, our wishes. What is the purpose of dialogue? I think instead of dialogue, we should use the term fight for justice and fight for truth. And this fight can be can be done in Turkey, of course, and it is of course, an important duty of Armenian diaspora to support those who are fighting in Turkey for justice and for recognition of Armenian genocide. This is not only related to Turkey, for other countries also. We have to fight for the recognition of historic injustices, whether it's in Myanmar, whether it's in another country of the earth, I mean in Latin America or Africa. The basic issue is fight of denialism is a basic human rights issue, and we have to stand for human rights everywhere, and we have to support those who are fighting for justice, for truth, and for humanity and human rights. So for me, the Armenian-Turkish dialogue means a corroboration of our efforts that we establish the justice and truth in Armenian genocide case.
There are many changes that have taken place in this world we live in over the past 30 years, the social media, internet, emails, Facebook. And how has that worked towards the recognition or promotion of Armenian genocide?
I think it had an immense impact on Turkish society. I would say today, through internet and social media, Turkish government cannot block, cannot stop the flows of information towards Turkish society. Now, none of the members of Turkish civil society or Turkey can argue that they don't have access to information. Today, information is available for everyone through several different channels. And I have to repeat myself, it is an issue of the politique. And in Turkey today, fight for recognition of Armenian genocide is a part of Turkey's effort for democratization. We are passing through a very bad period of time. We have a one-man dictatorial regime, and not only we experience the suppressing of the truth or a denial policy towards Armenian genocide recognition, but we have also suppressing of the intellectuals, we have the suppression of the freedoms of speech, freedoms of rights, and there are hundreds of journalists in prison today, and there is almost no opposition in Turkey. It is suppressed by this government. The prisons are full with intellectuals and progressive individuals. So the problem in Turkey is the recognition for Armenian genocide is a part of Turkey's democratization, Turkey's respecting of human rights, and this is a part of a long process.
A very long process. Your book, The Killing Orders, has also been described as the smoking gun. You've been described as James Bond. You've been described as Sherlock Holmes or Perry Mason, uncovering documents which nobody ever thought would be uncovered. How do you feel about the more recent works that relate to Aramandonian, Grigor Gergerian, and other names which are really not very familiar to me?
Turkish denialist argument have been over the years is that there is no clear indication that Ottoman government intentionally deported and exterminated the Armenians. You see this in the letter of ambassador also. What is the main argument? Yes, there were casualties. Yes, there were massacres here and there, but it was not the intention of Ottoman government. Now, with this book and with the documents that I published in this document, we can clearly say that this argument ends. This is not true. In that book, I published enough original documents clearly show the genocidal intention of Ottoman authorities, period. Now, what else? We cannot change Turkish government's denialist policies by publishing books. We can bring one document after another, one case after another. They will continue to deny. Do we really believe that Turkish government denies Armenian genocide because of lack of evidence? They know that there are enough evidence out there. They will continue to deny the Armenian genocide, whatever evidence you bring up. But the book and the documents in it is a blow, a very important blow against their denialist argument. Only if the politique, I underline this, only if politique take this in their hand and smash this Turkish government's face. Whenever Turkish politicians, when they come to Washington, when they go to London, wherever they go, when they talk with the politicians and they continue argue that there is no evidence that Ottoman government intentionally killed the Ottoman Armenians, then those individuals who are meeting with Turkish representatives should just give this book to their hands and show them that this argument is not valid. They will find other arguments, I am sure. Because again, denialism does not based on historic facts. They deny because of political reasons. So you can only fight them politically. And my book is a very important weapon. It is in that sense, really smoking gun. It is the gun that one can use in our field, saying that this is plain wrong and Turkish government is lying. I think the reason why Turkish ambassador sends letters around is an indication of it, how helpless they are. They are really in a very defensive position.
No, you just said that giving my book to these politicians and let them read and know the truth, gone are the days of giving out books. But what you are doing, very, very important, very impressive, and I'm sure you'd like to talk about this, is the digitalization of all these documents with students, whether it's Ani Ohanian, Anna Alexandrian, Ümit Kürt. Tell us about that work and the importance of that work and the reaction to that work.
Actually, the killing order and the documents that I published in that book is a part of a broader archive, which we call Grigor Gergerian archive. Grigor Gergerian was an Armenian Catholic priest, and over decades he compiled and collected an important amount of materials directly related to Armenian genocide. We have two important categories of the documents that he compiled. One category is the military tribunals materials that Turkish government has been hiding over decades somewhere in the basements in Ankara or in Istanbul. These are the court proceedings, the telegrams, eyewitness accounts, affidavits of the high-ranking Ottoman bureaucrats, killing orders, the telegrams directly related to extermination of Armenians. These materials were somewhere, and we didn't know where about these materials. And Krikor Gergerian discovered that these materials were in Jerusalem, in Armenian Patriarchate's archive. He filmed all these archive materials, and this is how I was able to get an access to this material. This is the one category of document. Second important category of materials in these archives are Aram Andonion collections, or Naim Efendi or Naim Andonion materials. What are these? These are mainly around 52 handwritten telegrams copied by an Ottoman bureaucrat, Naim Efendi, and sold to Aram Andonion. Aram Andonion bought these 52 documents along with approximately 26 original documents from Naim Efendi and published these in a book. And over the year, unfortunately, we lost the Naim Efendi's memoir. These 52 telegrams, the handwritten copies, we didn't know where about these materials. And we learned now Krikor Gergerian went to Paris in 1951 and filmed all these documents, handwritten materials, and the original documents, and this was in his private archive. And I made these materials, all these materials, Naim Andonion materials, plus the Istanbul Military Tribunal materials on online available. Now everybody can have access to these materials, and Ottoman materials from Istanbul military tribunals and some of the original Ottoman documents that Naim Efendi gave to Aram Andonion, they are available not only in modern Turkish, they are also available in English language. You can download and use and disseminate. This is free to use to everybody. And I want to use this opportunity and thank to everybody, to all individuals, among them Hrant Gülyan at the beginning, and all other important Armenian organizations. There is a growing opposition to Tayyip Erdogan. For example, the election in Istanbul. Maybe the opposition will win the election in Istanbul, and there will be an opening. But it won't bring the spring related to justice, truth, and recognition of historic wrongdoings. The opposition, the main opposition today in Turkey, they are more radical than the governing party today when it comes denying the Armenian genocide. So I don't want to draw up a very pessimistic picture, but I don't want also to really say that, oh, everything will be fine in a very common future and so on. We are going through very difficult times. It seems that it will continue a couple of years, but I can reassure only one thing from my end. We have to continue to fight for truth and justice as if we will win over it tomorrow. With the knowledge, maybe we will never see that the truth will overcome.
Dr. Taner Akçam, tomorrow night at 7:45 you will be at Fairlawn Church Hall. Could you give us a capsule of what you will be talking about?
Very important discoveries. Maybe this could be an answer to our ambassador from Washington. He kindly in his letter claimed that there is no intention of Turkish government to exterminate or destroy the Armenians. Now I will present tomorrow evening a group of Ottoman documents from Ottoman archive today. Not like the documents that I discovered in Jerusalem archive, the military tribunals archive, not like the Naim Efendi's memoirs, but documents from Istanbul archive today, where it is clear, and this is maybe a surprise for a lot of Armenian friends also, that the first decision to exterminate Armenians was made December 1st, 1914. The scholarship, we, including Hakan Dadrian and myself, we all thought that this kind of decision, a kind of a final solution, this decision to exterminate Armenians was taken sometimes around end of March, early April 1915, and I will introduce some new documents that the decision to exterminate, and the term extermination, imha in Turkish, imha, I underlined again, imha, is used in Ottoman documents, and they made the decision December 1st, 1914, to exterminate Armenians, first in a certain region, Van and Bitlis area, then they extended these. I'm going to talk about these kind of telegrams and some other telegrams also from governors, from the governor of Elazığ, governor of Erzurum, governor of Diyarbakır, governor of Van, where they openly, without using any euphemism, without using any other term, clearly talking about destroying, exterminating Armenians. So I think we might send a copy of these documents to Turkish ambassador also.
You mentioned a great scholar of Hakan Dadrian. He's my favorite. You're the second favorite. But he is really a great man. At one point in the book or at the lecture, he said, if Germany had won the war, nobody would have recognized the Holocaust. What do you think?
It's on the point. And this is what happened in modern Turkey. Those who organized the Armenian genocide 1915, they established Turkish Republic 1923.
Dr. Taner Akçam, thank you for your humanity. Thank you for working for the truth. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for your friendship. And thank you for sharing your views today so candidly on the Armenian radio. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.